Hello everyone, Tina here. I hope your day is going fabulous. Thank you so much for joining me. Today we're going to create 3 cards with the Hero Arts My Monthly Hero Kit for April 2021. This month it's all about geometric designs, kind of a funky kind of a stamp set. So I'm super excited to share some projects that are kind of usually outside of my comfort zone. But I like solid images, and I thought these images were super fun and cute and unique. This is your 6x8 stamp set this month, and the kit is still available, by the way, guys. I'll list it down below if you change your mind, or if you'd like to check it out, it's downstairs in the description area. But the patterns are almost like the backing that your stamp set came on. It's so neat. There is butterfly, you get a fish, a bird, a dog, a fox, a tree, a dragonfly, a bunny, a cat, and then some flowers for your background, along with lots of sentiments that you can mix and match to create your own. There is some coordinated frame cuts that will actually cut out every single image in the stamp set, including the little heart and also the little embellishments that you could use for your card. There's dies for those too, which I was shocked, but I was happy about, because especially if you want to make a birthday card, you have that little star that you can color with your inks to create some little confetti pieces. That would be super fun. Okay, so that's your stamp and coordinating frame cuts. You also get another goodie bag, and such a good value for this kit, guys. You get a brand new Hero Arts blending brush, and it is so soft. I wish they'd make pillows out of stuff like this because it's super soft, guys. We're going to be using this today, and I like the size of it. My ink blending brushes are probably on the less expensive side, but they're smaller, so I like that this brush is bigger. You get 3 mini ink cubes and some beautiful colors. You get tangerine, grape juice, and then raspberry jam. I'm going to get a little piece of paper and I'm going to show you the colors and how pretty they are. They all coordinate beautifully together, and if you were to overlap them and use them for your stencil, you could do that, because I think the colors coordinate that well. But I'm going to swatch them. That's tangerine. Next is raspberry jam, and then you have last grape juice. Kind of makes you a little hungry. But these are your colors. We're not using them today. I thought Hero Arts has lots of inspiration using these little mini ink pads, and I thought we'd go outside and use Oxide inks to create with our projects today. I was excited about these rotating stencils. You get 3 of them in the kit this month. Now the nice thing about these is obviously the geometric designs, very unique, but you can rotate them to do layering with them, and you could layer them together, 1 or 2 if you want. I think 3 might be a little bit pushing it, but you could layer 2 together, but you don't need to, because one of them you just turn and rotate. I'm going to show you what I mean with these in just a minute. But we're going to use all 3 stencils today and a few images in the stamp set. But I thought a rotating stencil, I've never played with it, and I thought it'd be really fun. Okay, we're going to set our stencils aside. We're going to work on those in just a little bit, but we're going to start off by doing some stamping. And again, I'm not going to use the inks. You could very well use the inks. I think the inks will do fabulous with the cards that I'm creating today. But we're going to stamp, and I'm going to use my Oxide inks. My ink pens aren't the juiciest, so I have to bring in my Misty. I was going to use an acrylic block and thought I'd better keep it on the safe side and bring in my mini Misty. I'm deciding on what 3 images I want to use. I want to use 1 image per card today. So we're going to start off with, I fell in love with the fish. I don't know if it's the weird design of the fish, because I kept looking at it thinking it's upside down. But we're going to stamp this little fish 4 times with 4 different colors of Oxide inks. We're actually going to do a little bit of gradient with them. We're starting off with our first ink, and that is Spiced Marmalade. We'll ink this little fish up a few times. We're going to use some bright colors for our card today. And after I'm happy with this, I'm going to stamp a little bit more. I'm going to create a gradient with my abandoned coral. I love creating gradients with solid images. I just think it adds a lot of depth and dimension to your characters. So we just add a little bit of shading just on the edge of the fish. It doesn't matter really where, but I like to go on maybe on the belly of the fish. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see it. But doesn't the fish look kind of funky? I mean, it looks like it's almost up, maybe it is upside down, but maybe it's not. That's just what I like about it. I'm going to wipe off the fish. I'm going to reposition it on my cardstock here. We'll pick it up with the lid of the Misty, and we're going to grab 2 more different Oxide inks. I have a worn lipstick for our next guy. I'll ink that up really good. My worn lipstick, I don't have re-inkers. I actually have an extra ink pad, and I need to change it out, but I still want to get all the life that I can out of that worn lipstick. I've had it for a long time. Okay, I'm going to take picked raspberry, and we're going to do a little gradient shading. I think maybe I could have used a candied apple for this, but picked raspberry, you could see it barely, the gradient, and I think we're just going to roll with it. I'll clean off my stamp, and we're going to go in with our third colors, and I chose some yellows, so we're going to use squeezed lemonade. We'll stamp this a few times, and then I'm going to do a little bit of shading with my fossilized amber. Love this color combination. I think I need to make some yellow flowers with this color combination. Okay, we're going to clean off our stamp, and then we're going to do a green fish. And actually, I'm taking, is this Wilted Violet? Let's see. It's actually shaded lilac, and I didn't like that color. It kind of threw off my little color palette. So we probably won't, I know we're definitely not going to use that shaded lilac fish. We are going to bring in our green inks. So this is Twisted Citron, and then I'll do a little shading with my Maude Lawn. And I think the yellow, pink, orange, and green is going to work out perfect. Now, with these same color combinations, the yellow, orange, green, and pink, I'm going to do the same exact thing with 2 more images, and we're going to stamp that same image 4 times. So I'll take the butterfly, and my stamp chamois is super saturated with my micellar solution. I use that to clean my stamps, and my chamois was a little dry, so I just poured it in my stamp chamois holder, and that's not the smartest thing to do because it's foaming up my stamps. I had to wipe them off with my towel. But I did the butterfly and then also the trees the exact same way, 4 times with the gradient, and love this color combination. Isn't it so pretty? Now I wasn't sure what to do with the stems of the tree, so I just stamped the entire tree the same color as the foliage, and I think it looks playful. I thought if you're going to make a pink tree, you might as well make a pink trunk. Okay, I'm going to separate these dies, and we're going to die cut out all of our images. We'll just tape them down and run them through the die cutting machine. And for each card, I'm going to use each set of our images. So that's what I created for. Usually I'm a 3-girl person, but I thought we'll go 4 today because I like the color combination. We'll set these aside, and now we're going to play with these fabulous stencils. You get 3, and I think they're going to be super fun. Now, there are corner points on these stencils. So what I did was I trimmed down 3 pieces of cardstock that measure 6 inches by 6 inches. This is going to be the same size as my stencil. I wasn't sure if I were to do just a corner to corner on a card front panel, if it would mess up the pattern, if you know what I mean. So I decided to do a 6 by 6. So I did add pixie spray behind my stencil, and we're going to start off with this one. I'm going to ink up my brand new blending brush that is super soft with my Hickory Smoke ink. And you're probably going, wow, that's a pretty dark color for these bright images, but I think the contrast is going to be really nice, especially with the geometric shapes. So we're going over our stencil with Hickory Smoke Distress Oxide ink. I'm not going to oxidize it, I'm just using the ink for its color. And then after I get this done, I'm going to speed up the process just a little faster. And I'm not going to remove my stencil just yet. I'm going to do all of these the same exact way. So that's going to go up there, and we're going to grab our next cardstock. We're going to add our next stencil. This is the one with the lines on it. And I did want to remind you that I am using the pixie spray. That's how it's staying down. Next, we're going to go over the entire stencil with Hickory Smoke again. And I'm not too worried about some areas being darker than others. Just creates an extra layer of gradient. Okay, now as I got this done, I thought, you know what, I think we better wipe our stencils off because we're going to have to turn it, and so we'll save a step. So I'm just using one of my towels and just wiping off all that oxide ink off the top of my stencil while it's on my cardstock. It makes it easier for when you turn it for the next phase. I'm going to line up my third stencil. We'll add our Hickory Smoke to it. And this one's kind of neat. I'm excited to see what this does. You have half circles and corners. And I'm almost done with this. I'll take my towel and we're going to go ahead and wipe the excess off of the top of this one. A lot more surface area on this one. Okay, so this one is good to go. Now, for me, it's easier to remove the stencil and keep it in the same position as the way I inked it. And then I know I'm going to tilt or rotate it to the left. And I'm actually going clockwise. No, well, not my clock. I'm going counterclockwise, I suppose. And then I'm going to line it up. Again, it has those corner points, these little small squares in the corners. Line those up and you'll get a perfect impression. I'm going to rotate it again. And on my second stencil, we'll just tack that down. That one's good to go. And then we'll do our third one. Rotate it to the left. And these ones, my little corner points, a couple of them weren't very vivid. But I figured it's kind of easy when you have a 6x6 panel because it's the same size as your stencil. Okay, next I'm going to go even bolder. You thought Hickory Smoke was bold, we're going to go Black Soot. And I'm using my same brand new inky blending tool from Hero Arts, and these are really nice. But grab some Post-it. Now, actually, this is electric tape I'm going to use so I don't get inky fingers, and we're going to just go over our stencil again, and this brush just goes over your stencil like butter. I'm going to use my towel, take off the excess ink, and then we're going to do a reveal. I'm super excited about seeing the way this looks. You can kind of see it below the stencil right now, but I think it's going to look fabulous. I think floor tiles like this would be nice. We're going to remove it, and I think that looks so fantastic with two inks, guys. And if you wanted to use any kind of paired up inks, I think it looks so pretty. I'm going to do the same thing to this. I'm going to call this like the basket weave one. Go over the top, wipe it off, and I'm going over it again with Black Soot. I'll just remove it, and this creates a really neat pattern. And it's not symmetrical, so that makes it really nice too. We'll do the same thing to our last stencil. This took me a little time because there was more surface area, but I'm just going to use my towel and wipe off the excess, and then we're going to take a look at this one. This one's really geometric, guys, but I love the way it turned out. Isn't that fabulous? Kind of fun. But so these are my 3 backgrounds that we created for our cards today using the rotating stencils. I'm going to go ahead and wash off my stencils and clean my craft mat, and then we're going to go ahead and continue on. But again, if you want to use your bright colors, even the pairs that we use today, for our images, I think would look fabulous for the background. Layer these guys together. You have your green pair, your yellow pair, your pink, and then your orange. I think that would look super neat. Okay, for card number 1, we're going to do a little paper trimming, and we're going to grab our paper trimmer. I'm going to go ahead and I want to create a card front panel with this. So 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I wasn't sure if I can get it centered or not. So I'm taking my card base and kind of lining it up, and it looks like I can trim right along the pattern on the left and right, and I can actually have 2 extra borders left over. We're going to put it in here and just kind of line it up right on that line, and then we have a nice border and our card front panel is centered. I'm going to flip it around, do the same thing here. Line it up, making sure it's even. It's a little bit smaller than my card base. I'm going to have a little bit of white showing on the left and right, but I don't think it's going to be that noticeable. But I do like my 2 little borders that we created too. We're going to use those for one of our cards. Okay, I'm going to trim off a little off the top to create a 5 1/2 inch tall panel. We'll line it up at the 5 1/2 inch mark, and then we'll take our tape runner and we're just going to go ahead and adhere that to the front of our card base. Okay, flip this over, grab our tape runner. For this card, I wanted to make a shaker card. I love these little fishies and I wanted to add some bubbles, but I didn't want to go too crazy with the embellishments. So I thought creating a shaker window would be perfect, and I haven't made a shaker card in a while. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to take my circle dies and die cut out a circle and then a circle frame and then also a circle piece of acetate to create my shaker window. I also went ahead and stamped the sentiment that says hello, and then heat embossed it with white embossing powder on black cardstock just to save a little bit of time. To create my shaker window, I'm going to go ahead and add adhesive on the reverse side of my circle frame here, and I used white cardstock for this, guys. We'll add our acetate right behind it, and then I'm going to go ahead and line this up on my grid mat to make sure it's centered, and I'm going to lightly tack with my tape runner the left and right of my circle. I'm going to put the hello on the inside of my shaker. You don't have to do this, but I thought it'd be better because I want to separate the shaker window into 2 parts. I want to overfill it, and I didn't want I'm going to double up on my foam tape, and I didn't want my sequins to drop. So that's what I decided to do here. I got to trim off my sentiment a little bit here. Now I'm going to flip over my little shaker window with the sentiment on the inside, and then I'm going to add a strip of foam adhesive right down the center on that black cardstock where the sentiment is, and then I'm going to go around the edges with my foam tape too. And again, I'm going to double it up. I'm using this foam tape, I think I got it at the dollar store and I wanted to use it up, so it's not as thin as my it's a little bit thinner than my 3M foam tape, so I thought if I doubled up it would work out great. Now the sequins that I'm using, we're going to go simple. I'm just using some clear sequins. These are different size clear sequins from Simon's shop, and I'm going to, like I said, overfill the top area and the bottom area just so I have a little bit of bubbles in my shaker, and it'll shake a little bit but not too much. I'm going to remove the adhesive backing off of that center sentiment piece, and then I'm going to take my solid circle and just put it on the back of my shaker. And then this is good to go. We're going to go ahead and add adhesive behind this circle. There's a few that actually went over the sentiment. I kind of liked it, so I thought, well, that's good. But I thought it looks nice and it doesn't take away from that geometric background. But we're going to add our, I did get adhesive on my frame, so I just took that off with my eraser there. But we're going to put this in the center, up more towards the top of our card base, making sure our hello's nice and straight. And then we're going to grab all 4 of our fish. The two that are on the shaker window, I just used adhesive to put these in the top one. I'm thinking it's upside down, but I kind of like it that way. So if you want it right side up, you could very well put it right side up, but I'm going to flip-flop these fish to where they're going upside down, right side up. But those two don't have foam adhesive, just adhered to our shaker window. The yellow one has adhesive on one side, and then on the left side I have foam adhesive that's doubled up, so everything's nice and even, along with my little orange upside down fish here. But I think it looks kind of very fun and unique. Geometric designs and retro designs are kind of outside my comfort zone, but I sure like creating with them. Now I thought we'd add another playful look with some googly eyes. I have lots of them, probably enough to last a lifetime. But I'm going to grab 4, and then these are adhesive back, so I'm going to remove the release paper off of them and add them to my little fish, and that gives a little playful look. To finish off my card, I'm going to bring in some more of those clear sequins, and then we're going to just add little dots of glue right above the face of the fish, as if they're little bubbles coming out too. I'll grab my glue here, my little sequins, and we'll dot them where we want the glue to go. So we're going to bring some sparkle on the outside. So something a little different, but I love the playfulness of it. And again, if you wanted to use the inks that came in the kit, I think that would be okay too. You could probably even ink blend them together if you wanted. But I love the black contrast behind it. I just think it goes with the retro theme. So that is card number 1. Next, we're going to work on card number 2. We'll set this aside and grab our cardstock here. For this one, we're going to use like the basket kind of style print. I'm going to go ahead and trim this down with my trimmer. I'm going to leave a little bit of border on this card, so I'm going to trim it down to 4 inches by 5 1/4. We'll go ahead and flip this over and adhere this to our card front. All of my cards today, by the way, are A2 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch card front panels. I love the way we have a border left over. I'll use that on my last card, but I did want a border to the left and right of my sentiment that I already stamped here. I'm going to go ahead and trim down this panel. I'm taking about 1 inch, maybe a little less than 1 inch off the left and right of this panel that we created, and I'm going to take those 2 strips and we're going to add them to the left and right of our black cardstock. This is a little less than 2 inch strip. I just measured it by the size of my sentiment, and for this card I chose the sentiment Says You Amaze Me. I thought that'd be really fun. I stamped it with my Versamark ink and then heat set it with white embossing powder on my black cardstock here. I'm going to go ahead and add my border on the left and right. I don't know what it was, but I just wanted to mix and match these funky backgrounds. I did trim off the excess. There are some overhanging on the top and bottom. Now I'm going to add adhesive and then a piece of adhesive backed fun foam behind our panel here. And then this, I don't know if I want to put it to the left, to the right, or in the middle, but I opted for the middle, going a little bit symmetrical with this design here. And now for this card we're going to use the butterflies. So we'll grab those. I'm going to flip them over, add some foam adhesive behind them, and then we're going to add 2 above the sentiment and then 2 below. And I think that's going to line up beautifully. I have the pink, yellow, and then on the bottom is the orange, green. Kind of evenly space them, and then I can press down really good. Now on the butterfly wings, there's 2 sets of circles. I'm going to grab those same clear sequins. We're going to add dots of glue to these center circles, and I'm going to add a small and a medium sequin to each one of these butterflies for a little bit of sparkle. After I did this, we're going to go ahead and grab our sequins here. After I did this, I think I wanted a little bit more black on my butterfly wings. I was going to use Nuvo drops, but opted for the sequins. But I still want to bring in my black Nuvo drops and add some black dots. And I think that balanced it out a little bit more. I just added the dots to the top of the sequins, the larger sequins there. So that's card number 2. For card number 3, we basically trimmed this down to 4 1/4 inches. I just need to trim a little bit off the top. So we're going to adhere it first. I'll flip it over and trim it. And then we're going to adhere our border strips. I want to add both of these a little bit higher than the center on this panel. I just love the way these layer together. I think they look so neat. Okay, after we have this done, we're going to go ahead and stamp our sentiment. And I want to bring in some black flowers too. I'm going to use my Hero Arts Intense black ink and grab the small flower that's in the stamp set. And we're going to stamp that a few times on some white cardstock. This flower too has, all the stamps in the set have coordinating dies. So I'll die cut this out with the coordinating die. For my sentiment for this card, I chose I'm so grateful for you. I'm going to stamp that with my black ink, and then I'm going to straighten it up and block it off, and then die cut out my flowers. Okay, we're going to adhere our sentiment, a small strip of black cardstock just above it, just to make it stand out a little bit more. I don't know about you guys, but I always have trouble getting these little strips straight. Unless it's the full size of the sentiment itself, it's hard for me to get straight. But I'm going to adhere this to a piece of cardstock. This cardstock measures, I believe, 2 inches. Let's see, 2 7/8, so almost 3 inches. I decided to round the corners with my 1/4 inch side of my corner rounder, and I'm going to go ahead and grab my trees for this. We're going to add all 4 trees kind of up and down on the top portion of our sentiment here, and I think this is going to look great. The 2 in the back, I want to go ahead and adhere directly to my panel, and then the 2 in the front, we're going to pop up with some foam adhesive. And I do like some of them overhanging off my panel. We'll add our orange one a little higher here, and then we'll pop up our green and add those for a little dimension. Lovely. And then I die cut out 3 flowers, but I think we're just going to use 2. We're going to take one away. You can put it on the inside if you wanted, but I think I'm just going to add 2 in that open area there, just to make it a little bit off center. I'm going to go ahead and use my glue and secure the trunks of that one pink tree that was giving me problems, and then I'm going to bring back some of those clear sequins, and we're going to add them around our sentiment and around our trees. And I want to do a little tucking, but I had too much foam adhesive, so I had to cut my sequin to make it look like it was tucked underneath there. But that is card number 3. So we're going to go ahead and take a little close look for this one, and then we'll take a look at all 3 of the cards today that I made with the Hero Arts My Monthly Hero Kit. I think they turned out fabulous. I love the bright colors with the bold geometric stencil shapes. I think they look really fun and unique. I hope you liked my project today, and it gives you some ideas on how to use the kit this month. Have a great day, guys. If you want to see still shots, go ahead and visit my blog. I'll list it down below. We will see you again real soon. Bye-bye.